This is Orpheus and Numby. This is O&M. This is Rick and Morty. So we are not super sure about everything coming in version 2.3, but there are some things that we know for sure. And one of those things is we are getting a new support set that power creeps Swing Jazz for Nicole and Yuzua and maybe even Astra, who knows. We are getting Agent Orphie and Magus as a fire attack character. Yes, fire attack. 2.2, sorry, 2.2. Coming in version 2.2. Hawk 2. 2.3 will probably be Seed and Zhao, most likely, but who knows. But yes, you heard that correctly. Orpheus is a fire attack agent, but she's not like other girls. Yes, Orpheus is fire attack, but she is not the traditional attack agent. Orpheus is an off-field aftershock DPS who buffs team damage. Orpheus is the Anby support. You thought I was coping? No, I win. Get f***ed. If you don't know why I was saying that the entire time, so the reason I was sticking to that prediction is because Magus is the captain of Oval Squad. So thematically, you would want the captain to be able to be played with any of the agents in the squad. You'd want them to have potential synergy with Anby, or in the faction. You would want them to have synergy with Anby, Soldier 11, and whatever DPS they want to make. So because of that, it made sense. I'm glad they went with that direction. I think it works thematically. I think it works mechanically because Anby really needed this. Hey, this video is sponsored and in collaboration with Loot Bar. If you don't know what Loot Bar is, it's a top-up service for all of your gacha games. You can save money on top-ups and make it more convenient through a Loot Bar. It's a service that I've used myself on stream. It's a service that I recommend people use. Save some money, easy top-ups, kind of a win-win. You can save money with a Loot Bar using the link in the description below and pinned in the comments. It really is as simple as just putting in your UID and paying. They support Zenlesszonezero, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, and essentially every other gacha game you can use, or every other gacha game I know of. Check out Loot Bar. And yes, I have used it myself. I do trust it. Because of a Loot Bar, next time I go live, I'll be pulling M1 Yuzua, so make sure you check that out. Yes, Orpheus is an aftershock support agent who does damage primarily, but does have a small team buff. Let's quickly talk about what her team buff is. It's 35 damage bonus and 25 defense shred. This combos really well with Trigger's engine, and because of that, yeah, this combos really well with Trigger's engine, which means it combos really well with Anby's teams. The major thing that may stand out to you, if we look at a team like Soldier Zero, Orpheus, Trigger, this team has no attack buffs. This is fine, it just means the agents really value attack. What do I mean by that? I mean attack slot 5s, and possibly even attack slot 4s if you have too much crit rate, or if you have enough crit rate to do it. That's what I mean by this. Oh yeah, Nicole too. So let's talk about mechanics. Orpheus does most of her damage in the form of special, chain, and ultimate. Basically all of her damage is considered aftershock. All of the hits that really matter. Most of her damage is considered aftershock. All of her important attacks are considered aftershock. So how does she do aftershocks? So she has a basic aftershock attack. That's a coordinated attack. This can trigger every 5 seconds. As you use Orpheus's abilities and as Orpheus attacks, she accumulates heat. What does she do with heat? She can use her hold special to consume heat instead of energy for a laser beam attack. Actually, basically all of Orpheus's attacks are laser beams. Orpheus is Sharks with freaking laser beams.
And that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
Like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna try to do more Zenless content. More Genshin content is coming. Did you know most of you watching are not currently subscribed? You should subscribe. But yes, she sits there. So when you use the hold special, she sits there and does this laser attack. If she gets hit while she is doing this attack, she will kick into the higher firepower state of the attack, which I don't think does anything. But when she ends the attack, she will use a chain attack instead of a basic attack. So you want to get to this higher firepower state for the chain attack to trigger. That is the goal of the hold special. She can hold up to 125 heat. The laser attack can consume up to, or the hold attack can consume up to 100 heat. The minimum heat required to activate the attack is 30, and it consumes heat over time. So I want to talk about the parry here. There's not much of a reason to sit there and do the entire laser beam attack. So what I want to do is I want to use the laser beam as a parry and then get the chain, so we can get to the chain attack sooner and swap out. Because the minimum consumption is 30, you can theoretically use this a lot. I haven't assumed this for any of the calcs, but it could be something really interesting to do with her. If you just try to short or do the laser as a parry and use it reactively instead of offensively, or you are using it offensively, but if you just use it for the parry instead of using all of your resources, you can use partial resources. Could be really cool. I don't know, but it could be really cool. It's something we might be able to do with this, so I've got my eye on it. But even if it doesn't, you hold the hold special, and she will do this laser beam attack, and then once you use the most, or once she activates or goes into the high firepower state of the hold attack, she does a chain attack. The other really important mechanic for Orpheus and Magus is the second version of her EX special. So both versions of her EX special are 30 energy. One of them can only be used when she is on field. The other will automatically be used off field when she has 60 energy or more. What does this mean? It means Orpheus can use a EX special attack with no input from the player besides attacking the enemy, because it does need to be activated. This is really cool. It's pretty different. But yeah, she consumes energy from off field. Not a resource. She consumes energy and generates her resource. Awesome. It also means energy regen is going to be a very effective stat for Orpheus because she's just using energy. More energy equals more attacks from her. And instead of needing to be on field or using attacks to generate a resource, she just directly uses energy. It also never caps out. It's great. I hope more characters directly use energy like this. But yeah, that attack will also generate heat. The heat generation from these attacks don't really matter unless you wanted to play her on field, which you may, and we'll talk about it when we talk about teams. I mentioned this earlier, but the core and additional ability for Orphie and Magus is that she will buff 35 damage bonus, 25 death shred. This has a base duration of 12 seconds and is extended by 2 seconds for every aftershock attack from teammates, up to a maximum duration of another 12 seconds. So 24-second buff. This is activated from her EX special attack and her ultimate attack. Very cool. The other thing on her core and her additional is she converts energy regen into damage bonus. So she uses energy regen as an offensive stat. This really affects her gearing. So currently her best 4-piece set is Shadow Harmony with an energy regen slot 6. I am mentioning this now because I want people to have time to get these pieces. If you happen to get a good energy regen slot 6 on really any set, you should be saving it because of times like this where an unexpected main stat is suddenly very desirable. Don't be afraid to hold on to pieces that could be useful one day because you'd rather have them than not have them. Also, it's like, Or speaking of pieces that are not super common, attack disc 4 and attack disc 5. Specifically, attack disc 4 is not super common. If you do not have an attack disc 4, you can use crit rate, you can use crit damage. It's just going to depend on what your stats are at the moment. All right. But yes, 4P Shadow Harmony currently. Regarding engines, her S rank engine is an energy regen main stat. It buffs her own damage. There is not a team buff on this engine. Thankfully, unlike Trigger, her engine is personal damage. It is another 30% defense shred for Orpheus. It's an energy regen main stat, and it gives 20 crit rate. I didn't mention it earlier. Orpheus's core gives her 20 crit rate as well. Just a little stat steroid for herself. It's fine. Cool. All right. Now, because she is an attack agent, you cannot use support engines to get a team buff. That is okay. Orpheus is a character who primarily does her own damage, and that's how she benefits teams. She doesn't just do her own damage. Thankfully, she does also buff the team. This is not Chiori. This is a good character in a good video game. Nice. Now, because of that, there actually are other engine options. I'm not going to comment on the exact difference because the energy regen thing matters, but she's a fire agent. She's got a chain attack. She's got an ultimate. You can use Evelyn's engine, and it'll probably be fine. If you happen to have Heartstring Nocturne, you could probably use it. It's not going to be the best thing in the world, but like, there's a little stat, and you actually kind of are benefiting from it. Something you can do. There's also Old Reliable Mercado Desire. And I'll throw this out there, if the energy regen ends up being a super big deal, you can always use Kaboom the Cannon with no passive. Now that we've covered mechanics, sets, and engines, let's talk about teams. So, you like Anby? Most of the recommended Orpheus teams are going to be teams with Soldier Zero Anby in them. Why do we say this? It's pretty simple. Anby's a buffer for Aftershocks, and we finally have an agent who does off-field aftershock damage and primarily does damage. This synergy Anby has been waiting for since she released is finally here. I've actually drawn up an early comparison. So here we have what current Anby can be. Here we have with Orpheus. So worth mentioning, you are directly losing damage on Anby, but Orpheus does enough damage to make up for the difference. It is a trade that seems to be very worth making. The other thing to mention is Orpheus does a lot more days than Astra, so you are going to hit your days thresholds significantly easier. That is very important to mention. The other thing to talk about is a technical anti-synergy with the two. So, if you don't know, Anby buffs Aftershocks while Silver Mark is applied to the enemies. Silver Mark is only applied to the enemies when Anby is on field. When Anby is off field, there is no Silver Mark on the enemy. So despite Orpheus's attacks being considered Aftershock while she is on field, these attacks are not being buffed by Anby. I wonder if they'll change this. They probably won't. But it is technically a slight issue with Soldier Zero synergy here. So Soldier Zero does not buff the first half of Orpheus's ultimate because she is on field during the first half and then she quick assists. So you can quick assist to Anby, which is fine. You can resolve that, thankfully. She will not buff the chain attack and she will not buff the hold laser attack. I've taken this into consideration. It's fine. It's still good. Something else they could do to address this is make more of Orpheus's attacks off field. Maybe just have her automatically consume all of her heat. If Orpheus could like come in and start her laser and then just get out and automatically consume her maximum heat, that would be a great way to improve this. It'd be really simple too. It would also make all of her teams better. Basically, it would just buff Orpheus. Now, because Orpheus is an attack agent, we can use Lighter, which opens up a whole realm of possible teams if you do not have Anby and you really like Orpheus. If Soldier 11 is viable, you can play literally anything you want. We can play Astra Orpheus Lighter. We can play Jofufu Lighter Orpheus. We can play Soldier 11 Lighter Orpheus. We can play all that. We can have fun. So to kind of demonstrate this, I did a clear with Bernice Astra Lighter. You might have been seeing it in the background. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I know I have Astra M2 and Lighter M2. I just didn't expect it to be quite that good. I just did. To be honest. And that really stands to the testament of, yeah, you can play Orpheus as a DPS. Even if you don't have ANB, you can still make this work. So don't lose hope if you wanted Orpheus to just be a DPS. It's fine, you can do it. Something to mention if you are gonna play Orpheus, as a support agent in teams. Her buff is extended by Aftershocks. It does have a base duration of 12 seconds. You want to play her with another Aftershock agent, which means you can play Orpheus, Trigger, and an attack agent, and that will probably be better than some other teams. I didn't mention this when I talked about Ambi. Regarding Ambi teams, you can play Ambi Orpheus Trigger, or Ambi Astra Orpheus, or any support stun combination you want to play. Cool. I'm really excited for Orpheus. She's kind of exactly what I wanted. And I think that making her an attack agent is a real benefit, and it allows them to open up really interesting teams. It also means that if the second agent in the update is Monado as a fire rupture agent, his best team will be Orpheus, Lighter, Monado. And you won't really be able to play Monado with Lighter unless you use Orpheus or Lucy. And that's the synergy. Like, that's cool. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it opens up cool teams. I like that she is an attack agent. That is Magus. I hope they don't dramatically change this agent because I think she's very good. I think she could be buffed, sure. But I hope they don't change her identity because I'm really happy with it. I think she's cool.